I'm literally just turning on this camera to keep myself company. I just saw some cool shit on the web in which Mel Brooks was discussing what a wonderful gift Gene Wilder was. And I've never heard anyone tell a story in which they said absolutely nothing in a more lovely and kind of vapid way, because I noticed that if you just compliment someone, and that's all you do, you kind of said nothing. He said, no, Gene was wonderful. He was a genius. He was a gift from God. He never turned in a bad performance. He once was too tired to do the scene. And then he tells this story like only old Jews can, where there's no there, but it's just kind of fun ambling around with an old Jew, especially if he's Mel Brooks. He's like, no, he was lovely, but he was too tired. Please, Mel, can I not do the scene? Okay, Gene, I need you to do the scene. What would make you do the scene? I think maybe some chocolate, some lovely chocolate. How about with nuts? No nuts. Okay, chocolate, no nuts. How about coffee? Would you like coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. Drink the coffee. I don't drink coffee. I want you to drink the coffee. Please, Mel, can I not drink the coffee? Gene, drink the coffee. Gene drank the coffee and had a meltdown in the corner with an anxiety attack because he does not drink coffee, and he was on a bunch of chocolate and coffee, which will make you kind of a sugar. Which leads me to the question, gee, Mel, you know how you could have driven that scene home to an actual punchline is to act out a 10 to 30 seconds of Gene's breakdown, and I would have me love you long time for a story that worked. Mel Brooks, comedic genius and one of my heroes and idols, and guy who kind of fucked up a fucking really good Gene Wilder story. Why are you such a loser, Mel? Isn't it weird how when I call a person that I genuinely love, like Mel Brooks, a loser, I say, you're not a loser, John. You're not a loser, Mel. Come on. You don't even look too bad today, even though you're kind of weeping shit from your face and your soul. And I just sent my mom an email in which I said, I love you, but can you stop making me crazy? My face is falling off and you never acknowledged I was sick. I had this for 40 years. Please, can you stop driving me crazy? I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, and you're not my worst enemy. Parenthetically, you are an enemy of mine because you're torturing me and I'm trying to love you, and it's impossible because you never acknowledge my right to have needs or boundaries, and you say crazy shit to me from the time I'm 3, like you pet me like a little dog and say I can't believe I made you, and then you shame me for being a child and needing a goddamn thing, and then you ship me off to Catholic neighbors to get assaulted, and then you wonder what my problem is, and then when I say this is my problem, I'm very sick and I'm weeping blood, you go, I'm a bioethicist who doesn't know anything about medicine or morality. Go away, I have to go to work and work at a public hospital. Why don't you go into another emergency room and have them tell you, that's not our job, get the fuck out of here. How do we get from Mel Brooks to my mom? Just that I'm not a loser, and that last night I lost peanut butter in my truck. And as I'm screaming, fuck you, you worthless piece of shit. Gee, thanks, Dad, for calling me a worthless piece of shit. Who calls their kid a worthless piece of shit even when they're 25, had a mental breakdown for Margellans, joined a crazy, demonic Christian cult, and are trying to have respectful interactions with their father who repeatedly keeps shaming them for not wanting to be a human garbage can and their shrink and be called motherfucker. Boy, this is fun, isn't it? Oh, loser, Mel Brooks. You're not a loser, John. You're not a loser, Mel Brooks. You just fucked up a really good Gene Wilder story. People used to think my dad was Gene Wilder. We once went to a restaurant in Snowbird. Don't tell this story now, John. Tell it later. The waiter thought my dad was Gene Wilder. He wouldn't stop acting like he was Gene Wilder. He's giggling. He's saying, oh, Mr. Wilder. Finally, I tell my dad, I think he thinks you're Gene Wilder. He tells the waiter I'm not Gene Wilder. The waiter doesn't believe him. Finally, towards the end of the meal, I look at my dad with the waiter there, kind of like, you know, teetering on tittering, flittering and twittering and tweetering, right? He was sure he was Gene Wilder. And I said to my dad, he still doesn't believe you're Gene Wilder. And the waiter looks at him, and my dad says, do you believe that I'm not Gene Wilder? And the guy goes, yeah. No, really. I said, come, you don't really believe. He says, no, I really think you're Gene Wilder. He says, okay, I'm Gene Wilder. The guy goes, Mr. Wilder, can I have your autograph? It was funny. My dad actually looked like Gene Wilder. He had kind of a freaky, chewy comb over and got a lot of poontang there at Monty's restaurant. Do not defame and denude the wonderful, marvelous name of my dad, Jerry Cotler, a genius comedian, a reasonably nice man when he wasn't being a dick, and a scorer with the ladies. Scorer? He was racking them up. Ka-ching! Back in the 70s when that was revolutionary. Not. One thing I've noticed about human history, we've been having sexy time and being dicks about it for fucking ever. Why can't you people be nice? Why can't you play nice? You're not a loser, John, but when you lose almond butter in your truck and you're screaming you're a loser, at least you are also a comedian, so you have the ironic sensibility to realize that technically speaking, from a cunningly linguistic standpoint, I went to Berkeley to study English at the #1 English department in this country to sit here like a fool making this motion with my finger towards my mouth because I am a sugar. Get to the end of the fucking rant. You're not a loser, but at least you have the ironic comedic sensibility. When you lost almond butter in your truck and you are calling yourself crap that's left over from your dad shaming you, and you're saying you're a loser, you're at least comedic enough to know, technically speaking, you did lose the almond butter. You are a loser. You lost something. Maybe don't shit on yourself. You're sick and tired and no one's supposed to live in a truck. Hey, there's fungus growing in the carpet, guy who's sick. You need to go to the car wash and clean it out. And instead, you're sitting here yelling at a camera about Gene Wilder and your dad and Mel Brooks and being a loser and comedy. I love you, Mel Brooks. I still want to meet you. All of these fucking old fucking comedic, all you alta cockers keep dying. I met Don Rickles back in the day, but I was 15 and he didn't believe me. I came up and I said, hello, Mr. Newhart, Mr. Rickles. I'm a comedic genius. And they went, really? You look like the fucking busboy. So you're the last of these high holy old Jews from the, if you asked me if I'd rather meet Moses or Mel Brooks pretending to be Moses, are you kidding me? There's Mel Brooks for sure, okay? But it was Jesus would be different. Okay, just stop. Don't with the calls and the letters and the... You're not famous yet, John. Shut up and keep talking. What I'm saying is, shut up and say something. Okay, look. I'm not a loser, but I did lose something. Stop shaming yourself for being sick and in a difficult situation. I love you, Mel Brooks, and I still want to meet you. Don't fucking die. You and Carl Reiner have to stay alive long enough for me to show up at wherever the fuck it is that you're ensconced in a secret location, repeatedly watching movies that have the lines in it. You may want to sit down, ma'am, or secure the perimeter. And we are going to have a goddamn show called John and Mel and Carl, or Carl and Mel and John, or possibly Mel and Carl and John, if you're nice, Mel, on the web, entitled All of Those Names in Whatever Order You Want. Don't argue about the billing yet. Watch movies with the lines, you may want to sit down or secure the perimeter, ma'am, in them. I'm dyslexic. Could you cut me a break? Come on. Look. Please don't die, Mel. You're not a loser, John, but you lost something. I studied English at Berkeley to be a cunning linguist and give myself a break. All you got to do is stop going meshuggah, which is a word we Jews use to mean meshuggah. Someday I hope to bring that word into the popular lexicon in the same way that, schmutz and putz and oy vey have been, Gentileized. They've been sanitized for your protection and for your perfection. Weapons of mass instruction, and I hope to make a movie called The Meshuggah Club. That's right, The Meshuggah Club. And for you going in the audience, meshuggah and meshuggah are two versions of the same word. One's a noun, one's an adjective. Go figure it out. I'm going to make a movie, hopefully with Mel Brooks in it, frankly, called The Meshuggah Club, in which a guy played by Paul Giamatti takes over a community center near where his family, his old dad, has a meeting at a senior center, and the youth center and the senior center get combined into one. And so he has to deal with all of these kids from the street. And his wife, who lives there with him and who's arguing with him about having a baby, he's down on the whole human race. He's deeply cynical and trying to deal with all these kids. And while he's doing that, his dad, Mel Brooks, and all of these alta-cockers from one of each stripe and race and creed and color and religion show up to discuss life in this extremely acerbic comedic way in the midst of him trying to control a bunch of children. And then eventually, Mel has to come live with him. So he has to live with him and his wife and drive him crazy while the guy is saying, life is negative, life is evil, my wife wants to have a baby, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. Please, Dad, can you stop driving me meshuggah? Hence the Meshuggah Club. See, because a meshuggah is... I asked my mom to explain this to me and she wouldn't, and now I'm kind of nuts. See, when we would be sitting... when we'd be sitting at a table, my dad would say, Hares, a meshuggah? See, a meshuggah is a crazy person, but meshuggah is an adjective. They are meshuggah. He is a meshuggah. Okay, good.